Hi, welcome back to 5 is Prime. In today's video, I'm going to teach you how to subtract fractions with regrouping. So I'll start off my example here and then kind of show you what I mean by this. So here I've got an example, 3 1/3 minus 1 1/2. And my first step is always to make those common denominators. So if I have 3 and 2 as my denominators, my least common denominator is going to be 6. So I will go ahead and I'll multiply 3 1/3 by 2 because 3 times 2 is 6. And I'll multiply my 1/2 by 3 because 2 times 3 is 6. My numerator, 1 times 2 is 2, and 1 times 3 is 3. If you watched my last video, you know that you just need to copy down these whole numbers. And here I've got equivalent fractions. And this is what I'm talking about when I say regrouping. I've got 2 and 3, and if I have 2, I cannot take away 3. Just doesn't work. I would end up with a negative number, and we just don't do math like that with fractions. So I'm going to have to regroup. I'm going to take my whole number, and I'm going to subtract one of my wholes. So I'm now left with 2. And whatever my denominator is, I'm going to add that to my numerator. So really what this looks like is I'm taking 2/6 and adding 6/6 to get 2 and 8/6. So now I've got 2 and 8/6 minus 1 and 3/6. And now I'm asking myself, 8/6 minus 3/6 equals how many sixths? And that's going to be 5. And 2 minus 1 is 1. So the answer to this problem would be 1 and 5/6. I've got a model down here to show you what is happening whenever we're doing this. I think it's easier for there to be a visual to go along with this. So I've already done my first step. I have 3 and 2/6 minus 1 and 3/6. And I'm going to model over here what it looks like when I'm taking away a whole and adding 6 to my numerator. So over here on my model, I've got 1, 2, 3 wholes plus another 2/6, which is from this number right here. Whenever I'm taking away one of my wholes, what I'm really doing is I'm chopping it up into the same amount of pieces as my other model. So I'm going to chop this up into the same number as my denominator. So in this case, it's going to be 6ths. And once I do that, I can actually subtract what I need from my pieces I have now. So now I've got 2 wholes plus 6/6 and another 2/6 to make 2 and 8/6. I can now subtract my 1 and 3/6 from this. I'll just cross off 3 of my 6/6. I'm left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/6. And if I look at my wholes over here, I need to subtract 1. So I'm going to cross 1 out, and I'm left with 1 whole remaining. I've got 1 and 5/6. So I hope that visual is a little bit easier for you to understand what's really going on here. All right, here's another example. I don't have a model for this one, but I think it's probably a good one to go over. So I've got 4 and 6. My least common multiple, if you've watched my other videos, you can see that they have shared factors. So my least common multiple is going to be 12. My least common denominator is going to be 12. I can multiply my 4 by 3 because 4 times 3 is 12. And my 6 times 2. Now I'll need to do my numerator. My numerator, 1 times 3 is 3. And 5 times 2 is 10. Copying down those whole numbers. I've got 4 and 3/12 minus 2 and 10/12. I can see that I can't do 3 minus 10. If I only have 3/12, I can't take away 10/12. So I'm going to take away one of my wholes. That leaves me with 3. And whatever my denominator is, I'm going to add it to my numerator. So I'm going to add 12. 3 plus 12 is 15. Keeping my same denominator, my second mixed number is going to remain the same. And now I can take away 10/12 from 15/12. That leaves me with 5/12. And 3 wholes minus 2 wholes is 1 whole. Something that's really important to stress is that we do not add 10. If you have a problem like 271 minus 39 and you see 1 minus 9, you can't solve that. You have to regroup. When you regroup with base 10 on a whole number, you're adding 10 to this to make it 11. 11 minus 9 is 2, 6 minus 3 is 3, and 2 minus nothing is 2. We're adding 10 when we do this. We don't want to add 10 unless our denominator is 10. All right, so 3 and 3/8 minus 2 and 6/8. I just kept these as common denominators for time's sake, but I can see that 3/8 minus 6/8 is not going to be possible. So I'm going to take away a whole. I'm going to add 8 to my 3. Really what I'm doing is I'm taking 3/8 and adding 8/8. And that's going to give me 11/8 minus 2 and 6/8. So my answer will be 5/8. 2 minus 2 is 0, so I don't need to include that with my fraction. Over here, I've got 4 minus 5. I can't do that, so I'm going to take away a whole, left with 4. I'm going to add 6. That will make my new mixed number 4 and 10/6. Now I'm good to subtract. 10/6 minus 5/6 is 5/6, and 4 minus 1 is 3. I've got some practice problems down here. Go ahead and hit pause if you want to try these on your own, and then come back and check your work. So for this first one, I've got common denominator, so I just need to look at my numerators. 2 minus 4 is not possible, so you should have taken away a whole. You'd be left with 2, and you add 5 to your numerator. 2 plus 5 is 7. My second fraction remains the same. And then I can subtract. 2 and 7/5 minus 2 and 4/5 is 3/5. Over here, you'd have to do a little second step. My least common denominator would have been 8. So I would have 4 and 4/8 minus 1 and 7/8. If I was following my subtraction, I would see 4/8 minus 7/8. Oh, I can't do that. I'm going to take away a whole. And I will add that whole. I'll chop it up into 8 pieces and add it to my numerator. So I have 3 and 12/8 minus 1 and 7/8. 12/8 minus 7/8 is 5/8, and my whole number would be 2. And that is how you subtract fractions with regrouping. I hope that this was helpful, and I will see you in the next one.